that sounds good. Thanks everybody for joining the webinar, and thanks for being district leaders and giving our lobby day here your leadership. We really appreciate it. I've put in this handout here, or in this slide, what I think are the 5 issues that we're most likely to discuss at Day on the Hill. I'm going to give a little cautionary note here in that it may change a little bit depending on what happens between now and March 20th. We want to make absolutely sure that we use our big lobby day to lobby on issues that are relevant and you know, alive that day. So this is a prediction, and I've done my best. You might also want to use this document to recruit others to come, because I know a lot of people say, well, I'm kind of interested, but what are the issues you're going to be working on that day? This is our best guess at this point. So the first thing is protect the safety net. There have been a rash of bad public assistance bills that we're opposing, and we have had one hearing in the House, and we're expecting to have hearings in the Senate probably in about 2 weeks. But the worst one is House File 2080 and Senate File 1833. And it would make pretty major changes to the MFIT program, the Welfare to Work program, and restrict eligibility and cut back on benefits and be more punitive. One of the more punitive things is a 10-year look back on drug offenses for eligibility. So, for example, if you had had a drug offense 10 years ago, you'd be ineligible for public assistance. We think that's punitive, it's stigmatizing, and probably counterproductive. It's one of those cases where we may be at cross purposes with other chemical dependency programs and other reentry programs and other efforts to try to help people get over an addiction problem or having a criminal offense in their background. It's hard to find a job. Certain job categories are totally closed off to them. This could just make matters worse, and we might see more reoffending if we cut back on public assistance when people are trying to raise children and don't have enough money. So bad welfare bills, we're going to oppose them, and we need to, and we'll have for Day on the Hill really clear talking points about which provisions are objectionable and why. But I've given you, I think, a good feel for why these bills are problematic. Let's move on to the next one. You can look at this document in more detail later if you want. So, in addition to opposing some of the problematic bills, we want to have a positive agenda, and we're trying very hard to keep the recommendations of the Poverty Commission alive. And we're working with Children's Defense Fund and Child Care Works and some other groups, Jobs Now Coalition, to put forward a package that we're calling the Family Economic Security Act. And so we want to be, you know, at the same time that we're criticizing some legislators for putting bad proposals forward, we want to have some of our messaging that day about what we're for. You know, what's a positive agenda. So the Family Economic Security Act, I think you've heard me talk about it before. It's got 3 main parts: raise the minimum wage, fully fund child care, and make more generous tax credits available for families that are raising children or have dependents. And then we're also supporting the restoration of one of the budget cuts from last year, $500,000 for the FAME program. That's the matched savings program, where low-income people can, if they can put a little money away in a savings account, the state will match those dollars. And that was completely eliminated last summer as part of the budget cutting arrangement, and we want to try really hard to get that restored. And we actually have a couple of Republican authors who very much like this program and are willing to stick their necks out. So we want to work with Representative Banyan and Senator Benson. Oddly enough, Senator Benson is one of the authors of one of the horrible bills. So on one hand we're liking her work, and one hand we're not happy at all with her work. The next, okay, so we've got protect the safety net, ending poverty, and then the third one is let's secure some more affordable housing, especially for people that are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. And there's two ways we want to push this. One is the bonding bill. We're doing quite well in this area. It's in the governor's proposal. The legislature is open to it. They've been pretty not yet committal, but pretty friendly to these ideas. So we want to keep pushing. Here again, we've got some Republican authors, so we've got the majority party at least giving these bills hearings and giving them deep consideration. So this is looking good. So if we can give this a good push at Day on the Hill, it'll be very helpful. And then, in addition to the bonding provision, which is number 2 on the document, let me jump back up to number 1. We want to try to restore one of the cuts that was made to long-term homelessness programs last year. And it amounts to $2.9 million, which in the scheme of things isn't very much. And I'm thinking here we can, although we don't have a position on the stadium or on this new ballpark for the Saints or the Vikings deal, we can at least bring it up as a talking point and say, look, if you're able to make these new homes for sports franchises, let's at least address the human dignity of people that are sleeping outside, and let's restore this cut. And I think we can make some headway. I'm asking you all to kind of go on a little bit of a quixotic journey on this one, but that's our role, isn't it? I mean, I think it is. So hopefully we can make some progress in restoring that cut for shelter capacity and for families that are at risk of homelessness, working with them to help them make house payments, giving bridge loans, that sort of thing, to avoid homelessness, provide a more secure housing arrangement for themselves and their family. Okay, then the last, or not the last, but the fourth one would be the impartial judiciary. You've heard us talk a lot about this. This is going pretty well. We are, just this morning, I did a legislative visit with Senator Eaton from Brooklyn Center. We weren't sure about where she was at. In fact, we had heard that she was sort of oppositional. We got her support this morning. Our votes in committee are coming around. This really does need, I think, a bit of a push from just the public to show that we do understand the issue, and there's people out in the districts that care about this issue. So we're doing all right, and we're going to keep pushing on this one. Let's see if we could move on to the last one, which is more of a, got to do some typing here. Okay, more of a table setter, and that's the human trafficking issue. What we want to do is just put this on the radar for legislators, that next year we will be seeking funding for services. Is it on the document, Allison? Let's see. It's at the bottom. Oh, I just have to scroll. My bad. I just have to scroll down to it. They've done some pretty important legislating in the human trafficking area in 2011 and in 2010. This year, not a lot going on, but we want to set the table for next year to come in for a pretty major proposal to fund services for victims of human trafficking, and that'll cost some money. And so we just want to talk about that, especially for members that may be on either the Public Safety Committee or the Human Services Committee, especially if they have appropriations responsibilities. But that's more of a table setter, kind of making the way easier for next year and letting them know that it's something that we would very much like to have their support for right now, especially heading into the campaign season. So those are the 5 things. 4 of them are like right now. 1 of them is kind of future oriented. I'm feeling very good about the housing bonding bill, the impartial judiciary. I think we can really help that along. Our voice is probably more important on stopping those bad welfare bills than any other organization. So to be strong on that is going to be very, very helpful. And I guess I'll stop there and see if there's any comments or questions. Because, oh, I know one other thing I wanted to say is that when you are leading the table discussions, it's going to be really helpful if you think about your members' committee assignments. And we can work with you one-on-one on this, but be aware of their committee assignments. And if, for example, they're on the Capital Investment Committee and they're going to be working on the bonding bill, for heaven's sakes, lobby them on the $40 million for housing, and probably just stick to that one issue, because that's where they're spending all their time and effort. If they serve on human services, then we'd like you to talk more about the bad welfare bills and the positive ending poverty agenda. If they serve on judiciary, for sure, talk to them about the impartial judiciary issue. So, legislative meetings seem to work best if you limit them to a single subject, maybe two at the outside. So be cognizant of your committee assignments, and then work with your people to make sure we visit with them on the right issues. Okay, I guess that's my piece, unless there's comments or questions. I think that sounds like Bob Magerline.
Yeah, there's nothing but phone talk on the line.
I'm getting a lot of feedback.
On the web, and I got a little bit late on the telephone, so I have no idea where these materials are you're talking about, Brian.
Okay, there's a document on our website, or we'll put it on our website, called Day on the Hill Preview. It's on. We'll put it up in a few minutes, and it'll be on the Day on the Hill menu.
Okay.
And it's our best guess of what the issues will be on that day. So yeah, it'll be up on their website probably within a half hour.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anyway, I couldn't get in with the JRLCWebEx.com, and couldn't find all the stuff they're talking about. So that didn't work.
Okay, and then did somebody else have a question? I think I heard somebody else trying to talk. No? Okay. All right, Allison, back to you, I guess.